What we're looking at here is my console out of a 2007 and a donor console that had the camera monitor that I wanted. So they're pretty much the same, models 2007 to 2009. When you pop out the monitor and then you pop out the sunglass holder, on one side you have this little guy right here, which you just push through, otherwise your new monitor housing won't fit in there. Like I was saying before, pretty much the models from 2007 to 2009 are pretty much interchangeable as far as where things goes. Mine is the one you're looking at over here on the left. It does not have the lights. Mine has a light in the headliner. This is in my truck, and of course right here is the monitor harness. Over here is the thing for the overhead lights. We also have the, there's 6 screws that you have to take out, and these are the, I guess, tabs that hold those in. And then you have some in the back here, and again over here. Got a little bit of a long shot of what it looks like with the thing down. There is a hole that comes in the original thing if you get one from the factory. Of course, mine, because I had to take out the sunglass holder, does not have a hole in it, so I need to figure out kind of where I want to place that. So we flip them over, look on the back, see about where that is, and that'll tell me where I want to place mine. Again, like I said, most of this stuff is interchangeable in between the two things. Most of your wiring harnesses are going to be the same. There are a few little differences, but what I did is took my console out to the garage, did a little bit of a starter hole so that the bit won't slip, although this plastic is relatively soft and your drill bit will pretty much zip right through it. I had drilled a little bit of a hole with my other stuff before. I went to go put it in, and unfortunately, no bueno, it doesn't go in. I need to be just a little bit bigger. My step bit that I have only goes up to 7/8, and I probably needed to have one that was about, I don't know, probably an inch. So I just hogged this out a little bit, and then we'll see. Is this going to fit? What do you guys think? And of course, it goes right in. Now, one thing that you have to keep in mind is you'll see here that there are the 2 holes there and here. If you put the camera monitor in now, it's going to cover those holes up, and you won't be able to secure those screws into your the head of your truck. The screws that you're going to be using are Torx T20s, and getting this thing in there, it does have a little bit of a rubber grommet, and you can put that in the hole, and that will kind of protect that. Although the coating on that wire is pretty thick, and you're all just going up against plastic, so. Now, you can do this stuff by yourself, and I did it by myself. It would help to have another set of hands just to hold the console up. The monitor, when you go to put it in, is a little fiddly. You'll see that the lights come on once I plug the overhead console lights on. And you have to take some of that excess wire and shove it up again where that harness is. And again, it is just very, very fiddly, and it's a huge pain in the butt. And I'm starting to realize that I would like to have an extra set of hands about here. And so that is the face of frustration that you'll see. Anyway, I was able to go ahead after a lot of fiddling around with it and get the console back up in there. The monitor, this is original equipment monitor. And like I had said earlier in the video, I wanted something that was able to go into the truck that wasn't going to be aftermarket. It is a little wiggly, it's a loose fit, but it doesn't seem to rattle or anything like that. And what I'm going to do now is, again, just sort of test, make sure everything's in there. And I don't know if you'll be able to see. I'm going to turn the truck on here. But I test, well, I'll turn the truck on here in a second. But I put it in reverse, but I've tested everything just to make sure that nothing is binding up. and it's kind of come up. So I've turned the truck on. I'll shift into reverse, and you'll see that little flash right there. So I know that the monitor is working. It's got power. It's not showing any image because there is no camera hooked up. So I have a bed liner, a bed rug, so I took that off, and the little panel that you see there is kind of gross. So what you want to do is, well, at least in my case, I wanted to go ahead and clean that stuff up. And there's 8 fasteners here. These are Torx T30s, and you'll just go ahead and undo those, and that will give you access to your tailgate latch. And like I said, there are 8 of those. Once you get the fasteners out, it just pops up. There are no clips or anything like that that hold that in place. It's pretty much just the fasteners. And then we see down here the latch assembly, and it's held on with a couple of small nuts here, and they are 5/16, and you could take them all the way out. I didn't. If you sort of look toward the back, you'll see there's that little plastic tab that's sticking up. That will actually hold it in place. A quick note about these plastic brackets: you want to go on the top and the bottom at the same time, otherwise you can run the risk of breaking them. They do just pop off though pretty easy. Now, this would be the thing, the replacement latch has its own plastic brackets, but if you were just doing maybe some work on that thing on your actual assembly, or adding something or changing the lockout or something like that, and you wanted to be able to reuse it, you just want to be careful with that. So again, that little plastic tab on the back will hold that in, and you just push that forward, and it just sort of kind of rocks out. Now that is our tailgate lock, which we need to put in the new tailgate latch assembly. So we'll take that over to the workbench. Just got this metal clip on there. You can, like I'm doing, just use a screwdriver, and it pops off and on pretty easy. And then once you get that guy off, you take your tailgate lock, and it's ready for the new piece. So again, we see on the new piece, we do have, if you notice, those plastic brackets where the latch bars, I guess for lack of a better word, will go in. With this, you don't need to do anything. Just line up the lock where the opening goes over that tab, and then you push it in and it will click. Just like that, into place, and now you've got the lock installed. Easy peasy. Underneath the truck here is the camera harness, and it's a little 4-pin connector. I'm about ready to get a little bit of a dirt shower here. And that is our connector that we will fish in. I originally had, there are several places where you can fish the stuff through. It's a good idea to take a wire hanger or something and snake it through. Otherwise, if you try and do the wire on your own, just trying to push it up and then grab it that way, it's going to be a real big pain. You've got your connectors here for your video and stuff. They're not the most secure when you put them in, and what I did was went ahead and eventually taped those all up with electrical tape. And so I originally had planned to fish it through there. Hindsight being 2020, what I would have done differently would have been to just go under the truck, connect it here first, then made the other connections, and again it clicks right in. It's a very positive click. Originally I had thought, well, I can get it through here, but it turns out I'm going to have to go over to this far one over here, just the way that the wiring kind of works and everything. Again, none of this stuff is super difficult. Just showing you there that I've still got my hanger going through, so I'll be able to fish the wires through. And like I said, I did not trust these things to come apart with jostling and bumping, and especially trying to fish stuff through. And so, like I said before, I will go ahead and use some of this electrical tape and tape those up so that they don't come loose. So I've got it fished through on the truck body, and then there are some holes where I can put some zip ties in there, and that'll keep the wires from moving around, so it's there and there. Your truck, it should have all the same stuff, especially if it's the same model year. And then I got it routed up to come through. I will put the main, there we go, that's our hole still to place that guy in. So that will go into there. The easiest way I found to do it after a couple of trial and errors is just you bring it up through the bottom, and you rock it in. You want to rock it towards you. Again, that plastic clip will get it and hold it in place. Just make sure that you try and position it when you're first clicking it in so that you can see that your holes line up for where those 5/16 bolts are going to go in to hold it. So once that's in, you just button them up. And then replace your, I don't know, latch bars, I guess. I don't know what they're called. I'll just use that. The funny thing is on the lower one, it went in pretty easy, and I had to fiddle around quite a bit with the red one, but eventually it went in. And you just click them back over. Try and get my hand out of the way so you guys can see it just snaps back on. And just make sure everything is in there good. And then do a little bit of a test to make sure that those bars are actuating. So I will make I'll zip tie this thing here, and the big bundle of wire I'll have over there. When you go to make your final connection, there are 4 very delicate little pins in there, and so to make sure you've got them lined up on this particular kit that I got from tailgates.com, you just line up the arrows and they go in. And here, just zip tying and cleaning stuff up. I eventually, over on this big one, I had just done one first, but I eventually put another one, and then a little insert here. I zip tie them again down below. Now what I did do is I did make sure and test it and make sure that the monitor was working, and it was working. And I did get an image. So now pretty much, once you've got everything zip tied and the way you want it, you pretty much just button everything up and do the reverse. And here's the kind of looking up at the camera. So we'll turn the truck on, put it in reverse, and see if we get an image, and we do. Now the monitor's not the biggest, but it is a pretty decent little monitor. So anyway, I hope this guys helped you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks.